Hello all, this is Ben Falk for KillerSites.com. Welcome to part 10 in our series on creating a simple PHP login system. Over the course of the next couple of videos, I'm going to be demonstrating how to build a reset password feature. Specifically, we're going to want to implement a feature that allows users to be able to reset their passwords quickly and easily while staying secure. The last thing that we want is for a visitor to the website, perhaps even someone completely unconnected who doesn't even have an account, to be able to change the passwords of existing users. The way I'm going to be approaching it is we're going to build out two forms. One form will allow the user to enter in their email address, and if that email address exists in the database, it's going to email that user a reset password link. That link will then allow the user, once they click on it, to be redirected to a page within the website that allows them to fill in their existing email and their new password and have their password reset. The first thing that we need to do to get started on this is to modify our database. I have phpMyAdmin open, and specifically with the login database selected and the members table currently active, and the browse tab is the current active tab. And you'll notice that I have three columns in this database table so far: an ID column, a username column, and a password column. But in order to implement this reset password feature, I need to add two additional columns. So I'm going to navigate to the Structure tab, and I want to add one field after the username. So I'm going to click Go. I'm going to call this field Email, and I'll leave it at 62 characters. So go. Actually, there we go. Okay, so we added in an email field, and then one more column we need to add in as well. At the end of the table, I want to add in a field I'm going to call pw_reset, password reset. And this is going to hold the reset key, which I'll talk a little bit about in more detail later. And I'm going to give it 16 character length, and I believe that's it for this. Save, excuse me. Okay, so this is what we have at the moment. I guess one other thing we need to do with the database is let's go ahead and set this up. I'm going to edit my admin. I'm just going to put in admin@admin.com for the email and temp@temp.com for the email here. So we will change this in a little bit, but I'll be talking about that more shortly. So with the database changed, now we actually need to go in and build out this functionality in the files themselves. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my config file, and I want to add a couple domain related configs options. So I'm going to add a config item that I'm going to call site name, like so. And this is just going to be whatever you call your site, just the name. We're going to be using this information in a little bit, but I need to get it in place first. So, and then I'm going to set up another one, config. This one's going to be called site URL. And this is going to contain the full path to your website. Like so. And then finally, I'm also going to do a site domain, which this is just going to contain the specific part of your URL, the domain portion, so your domain.com. Okay, so that's it for the config file. Let's go ahead and modify the register.php page, because we've added in email functionality here, but we actually need to update the register.php page to allow us to set this email. So most of this should be most of this should be pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and update the view first. So all I need to do is copy this section, paste it in, and just change a couple of variable names. Okay, I believe that's good. And while we're working with the view files, let me also change a couple minor things as well. I guess it's just login.php that we need to touch. After our form, I'm going to include a p tag with a link, and it's going to link out to reset password.php. Okay, that's like so. Let's go back to register.php, and we need to add in some changes. Basically, it's just some minor additions here and there. So immediately after user, put in email. And let's make sure that we check that the email isn't invalid, or excuse me, that the email isn't blank. So like so. One additional thing that I'm going to do in preparation for some additional changes in this file is I'm going to move this section where we get the data from the form. I'm going to move it outside. I'll place it there. And let me also make sure that we're getting the email address. This just means we don't have to duplicate code quite so often. So I can go ahead and safely delete it from here and from here. It wasn't quite as much of an issue before, but we're going to have a couple else if statements. I want to make sure that we're only grabbing it once and not repeating code unnecessarily. Okay, so that's in place. And that's fine. We also need another additional else if statement, and we want to check that the email address that's being entered is in a valid format. And I have a regular expression that I use to check that, and I'm just going to paste that in here. So we use preg_match, and this is the regular expression here, and then we're checking against the input, the email from the form. And this is something I'm borrowing from a tutorial I did recently on form validation with PHP and JavaScript. So we're going to make sure that the email is in the correct format, and if for some reason it's not, indicated by the not symbol here, we're going to go ahead and show an error message to the user. Okay, and then we want to display the form again.